You stay on the phone just to hear me breathe. On repeat. Sinong akala na posible pala na mahalin ka ng telepatiya. Puno ang buwan pero walang laman ng kama. Ang gawin ko sana kung nandito ka masisira ang ulo mo sa napakasarap.
Hello and welcome to the 206. My name is Marc, coming to you from Seattle, Washington, and this is Twitching It Up, a Twitch streamer interview series. Twitch is a streaming platform for gamers, singers, and all kinds of content creators from all over the world. My goal with these interviews is to give some insight into the lives of people who use Twitch as a platform to share their talents and engage with their communities. Now, today, I'm very happy to say that my guest is one of the first streamers I ever followed, one of the first ones I ever subscribed to and became a fan of on Twitch, someone who is an inspiration to so many people, and I'm honored to be able to say she has become a good friend over the last year as well. So here she is, Jayne Rio. Welcome to the 206.
Thank you so much for having me. That was a great intro. My goodness, like you got that down. I love it in one try. That's really impressive, I must say.
No, I appreciate that, Jayne. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Had some practice, and I definitely wanted to prepare for today, so thank you.
Love it.
I always like to start off by digging into how and why each person started using Twitch. So, Jayne, what was it that initially brought you to the platform? I know it's kind of an interesting story.
Yeah. So I actually found Twitch through a fluke. I was basically streaming due to the pandemic. So shelter in place happened I believe March 11th. My birthday falls on March 17th.
Right.
And I actually had a birthday party planned. But during that time, it was still unsure if can we actually have this party or not? Because when they first addressed gave that shelter in place, nobody really took it seriously until a few days afterwards. They're like, oh my gosh, this is real. People are really shutting down. Stores are closed. It wasn't until the day of the party, I believe it was March 14th, when it really hit that this is real.
Oh, wow.
So I decided, well, I can't just let, the people that I invited down. I just have to think of something last minute. And so I went onto Instagram and did a live and just, celebrated with my friends on the internet. And that's kind of what started the idea of live streaming. And as the shelter in place continued and there was no end in sight, I noticed other musicians and artists going on Instagram Live. And I had no idea on how to put my sound into Instagram Live other than just having a speaker play and then sing on top of it until another artist named Travis Atreo, he actually introduced me to Restream, and Restream had all these different platforms that you can go on to and where you can put your computer sound onto whichever platform. And so before trying it for Instagram, I saw that there was a Twitch option, and I was like, let me just test my sound on Twitch since I had an account, but it wasn't being used at all. It was just to support another friend of mine, DJ Wally, to check out his streams, but I never actually streamed myself. So I said, okay, if I test out my sound on Twitch, then it's perfect because no one will know. I won't advertise it. And funny enough, my first stream, I think maybe 6 people showed up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And in addition to 2 of my best friends that were there to kind of tell me if the sound was good or not. And there was only sound coming out of the left speaker for some reason. And the people that were coming into the stream were trying to help me navigate why my sound was only going through one ear. And so I got hooked pretty much after that. I was like, oh my gosh, there's an audience here. I didn't even try to do anything or advertise it. And there were people who I had never even met on this platform. And so from that day forward, I streamed every day and got affiliate that next week. And yeah, within 7 days, I was hooked.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, it's funny and it's very appropriate that you start off first stream with a bunch of tech issues, right? Because that's
Yes.
kind of a hallmark of a Jayne Rio stream. Although I think it's pretty common for any streamer to deal with tech issues, on a regular basis. I deal with it on my streams every day. I go to a stream and somebody's dealing with whether it's video or audio or what have you.
Yes.
So are there any moments for you that stand out where you were able to overcome some sort of tech issue that was just really causing a struggle?
Oh, that's so funny that you mentioned that. I mean, you're absolutely right, where honestly the first week of me streaming on Twitch was all just troubleshooting. I didn't actually start doing music on Twitch until I think maybe the third or fourth stream.
Oh, wow.
Because the first initial, streams was just get the audio right, get the video right. Oh my gosh. It was just so much setup. Honestly, I'm very lucky because I had a friend and a mod help me with all the setup, to like back end setup.
Yeah.
Dana Rachel, she's the one who set up, streamer song list and all those like bots. It's just all the things that if I needed to figure that out by myself, that would have been even more things to go through. So, I'm glad I had her to kind of overcome that part of it. But, when I look back at how far the stream has come, I mean, I can't really pinpoint any particular moment per se, but it's been so awesome to find something at, I don't want to date myself or make myself seem super old, but like at this age to still find something that excites you and, like sometimes we think we know everything and then you get introduced to this whole new world and it's just been so awesome, like kind of overcoming that not necessarily fear, but just like overcoming learning something new. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It definitely makes a big difference when you can find something like that.
Yeah.
What would you say, I guess maybe aside from tech issues, what would you say is the biggest difference between a Jayne Rio stream today versus a year ago when you were just getting started?
Oh man, I think, honestly, back then I felt like it was a lot more unpredictable. I was trying a bunch of different things. So I used to do kind of like a podcast, but I never recorded it or anything. I just brought some of my friends on Mondays for a segment called Mind Your Mondays. And we talked about, each month had a theme. So I started in April and I believe Mental Health Month is May. So I did that. And then June is Pride Month. So we talked about love and all those things. Yeah. And that was really fun. But I feel like I had to adjust quite a bit, because the music was taking off more than the non-music stuff. And so I feel like today there's still a little bit of that unpredictability, but for the most part, I feel like I've stuck to music and now I kind of want to revisit, topics and just streams outside of music. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. It could be a good time to find a good balance, between the two now that you've had experience with both.
Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it. Now, Jayne, what is something that you learned early on about live streaming that you're still mindful of every day when you go onto a new stream?
Onto a new, like one of my streams?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Like when you go live any given day, like is there something that you learned a long time ago where you're still thinking about that every time you go live?
I think one thing that I feel like, even though I say it doesn't matter, is viewership. I feel like it's just one of those things that that it shouldn't matter, because what you should focus on are the people who show up, whether it's one person, 5 people, 20 people, 20,000 people. What matters is, showing up for those who show up for you, and sometimes it can affect the live stream and I'm guilty of this, but just remembering and appreciating all the people that show up for the streams. Like it's fulfilling,
No, absolutely. That's a great way to look at that. Now, it's interesting that you say that too, because the next thing I was thinking of asking is, or even just saying, and then leading to a question is, one thing that I love about your streams is how much effort that you put into chatting with the viewers, and also how you do everything you can to make people feel welcome. So it's not just about singing the songs and calling it a day. You genuinely want to engage with everyone who comes to the stream. And, that community aspect of your streams has made a difference, I think, for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So I want to turn that around and ask you, how has your community, who is affectionately called the Referios, made an impact on you both as a streamer and even just as a person?
Oh man, that's a great question. I have tried to do other platforms in the past. I've done YouTube, I've done, social media, Instagram, that kind of thing. But what I feel makes Twitch different is the community, is the Referios. I have always felt like I've done this myself, like by myself, and kind of by choice. I'm not one to really ask for help. I'm shy to ask for help. And so to have, the Referios come and not just support me, but each other. Yeah. I feel like I always try to refrain from calling it my stream or, my channel, because I couldn't have done this without the support of the Referios to show up and support one another and genuinely be in each other's lives. Like, we spend so much time together, like I could not have gone through the pandemic. I could not have gone through, one of like a major breakup in my life, a major move. Yeah. And just throughout my own personal growth, it just felt so much more fulfilling to have it witnessed by the community. And I'm just eternally grateful for that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, I feel honored to be part of that community as well, and getting to know everybody. We talked about, you and I getting to know each other over the last year plus, but also getting to know everybody. And, I've made really good friends along the way as well. So I love being a part of what you and this community has created. And I think back to when I first started watching your streams, one of the things that initially drew me in is how open and honest you are about pretty much everything, and especially about mental health. Something that you love to talk about. So it's still in the context of your stream, what's the biggest challenge for you mentally and emotionally, just when it comes to being a streamer?
I think for me, because I was diagnosed with bipolar type 2 and I was diagnosed with ADHD as well, what makes it hard for me is on the days that I just don't feel like doing anything, not even necessarily streaming, but just anything in general, because I have such high highs and low lows, mostly low lows, because that's what, type 2 entails. But at the same time, because streaming is kind of once you get, into the flow of things, you have your setup and everything, it is just technically one button and a title. If you think about it, it's not as like like there's not so much work that goes into it, like a YouTube video, for example, or even a TikTok or Instagram reel. Like you literally just press live and go. But definitely on those days that I just don't want to give off that energy that I'm feeling, because I can't hide it. And I know chat can see it too. And I'm just like not 100% there. Yeah. But, for the most part, once I decide to actually press the live button and I see the Referios come through, my whole mood ends up changing. And, it's been really awesome.
I love that. And I think anytime you're putting yourself in front of people, whether it's in person or on a virtual platform like Twitch, there is some level of anxiety attached to that. Yes. Even, anytime that I go live, just to do my game nights or what have you, I still get a little bit nervous. And sometimes I can't even explain why. You know, it's just there. So I would imagine with what you go through and the, you know, your things you've been diagnosed with, that a lot of that is amplified for you as well. Would you say that?
Absolutely. Especially when, for me, it's mostly, you know, like, is my mood going to show today, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that nervousness is there simply because, you know, you want to do well for your community. You want to always put your best foot forward. And on days that I don't feel 100% is when I feel most nervous, you know, because I'm like, I don't want to give less than 100% ever.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. You know, in it kind of bringing a lot of that full circle in talking about the tech issues, the getting to learn how to be a streamer, the mental aspects of it. So if you could take all of those things that you know now and go back to when you very first started streaming, and if you just had like 10 seconds or 30 seconds to give one piece of advice to like that Jayne, what would that be?
Keep going.
Yeah.
I honestly keep going, because on the days that I just didn't feel like doing it, I mean, I took a 3-month break at one point because it was just too much. I felt like my content was getting stale, you know, like I was singing the same songs. And, you know, I guess one of the things too is people will come and go, you know, don't take it personal when people don't, you know, come anymore. It's just life happens, and just keep going, because as you keep going, you meet new people, and you keep yourself available for those who want it, you know. So
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Now, Jayne, with everything we've talked about, I want to make sure that we don't forget that, in my opinion, you have one of the most amazing singing voices, you know, you'll find anywhere. So, and your song list is full of songs from great singers like Adele, Christina, who, as you know, is one of my favorite singers, and, you know, and Whitney, just to name a few that are out there. So if you look at your song list, and then, you know, when you're live and people start making requests, are there any songs, and now not including your originals, we're going to get to that in a minute, but are there any songs that get you just a little extra excited when you see them show up in the request queue?
Oh man, honestly, I get excited for songs that haven't been requested in a while. You know, power songs. I love my power songs, my power ballads. That's the great thing about being on Twitch, is you can sing anything and everything. As a performing artist prior to Twitch, a lot of times the mood that you have to curate for the crowd is upbeat, you know, or maybe like chill vibes at the least, I guess to say. And so a lot of times I was so used to singing, you know, upbeat, get the crowd going. But my heart is where the ballads are, you know, and I just want to wallow in my sad ballads. So when I see those sad ballads pop up, you know, the Whitney, the Yebbas, like, I mean, it just, those get me excited, because where else could I possibly sing these songs and get that same kind of reaction or appreciation for sad, sappy ballads.
No, I love that answer, because I mean, from the viewer perspective, you know, me watching you, that definitely comes across. Like, I think it's always apparent that you just love singing, but I think there's moments where it's like, okay, she's really going for it with this song, or this one's just a little more special. So no, I'm glad that you put it that way. That's great. Now, I mentioned that you also have original songs. Now that's also a really good transition, because I feel like the songs that you've written also have that same type of vibe, and that's very natural and authentic for you. So to me, you know, they come across as very personal songs for you, and they have a lot of meaning attached to them. So is there a process to how you write songs, or how you come up with the ideas, or do they just all of a sudden come out at some point, or what's your process for writing?
So for me, all the songs that I've ever written have been I guess kind of influenced by whatever is going on in my life at that moment, or something that had happened in the past. I wasn't really great at writing. You know, I consider myself more of a vocalist than a writer, but it wasn't until I had gone through a pretty pivotal point in my life where I was trying to find myself, and I had been in long-term relationships for so long, and I was trying to find myself after all of that, and I was able to write some really awesome songs from that heartbreak experience that was initially written for other people. But I think the crazy thing about writing is the meanings change as life goes on. And I realized through my heartbreak and through the things that I wrote that I needed to heal myself from me, you know? And so a lot of the things that I wrote about for other people, I realized were also like almost letters to myself, that when I listened to it years later, it's like, oh, I'm talking about me, not about, you know, the other person hurting me. I hurt me. And so now I feel like most of my music has kind of been influenced by that, where the things that I feel more easily, I guess, I don't know, that is easier for me to write is about like finding yourself and loving yourself. And that's kind of been my process.
Oh, it's interesting that you say how, you know, the songs end up being about yourself, and you had no idea until you had time to kind of get the song out there, process it, and just kind of reflect on it another time. So, and I think one of the, I guess maybe has become your signature song since you put it out, is 100 Miles Per Hour.
Yes.
You know, I still remember watching you react to the first time you played it on Spotify. And I think there's a clip of it that'll come up every once in a while. And, you know, it's basically become the anthem for the referees as well. And I know you actually wrote and put out that song, or not put out, but you wrote it and made it a song several years ago. And then you just finally got it on Spotify. It was, I think, just a little over a year ago now, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, so tell me about that process of kind of that journey of 100 miles per hour.
So 100 Miles Per Hour was actually co-written by the producer. He was the one who came up with the idea of 100 Miles Per Hour. So when we were writing the album initially, I mean, it didn't end up being an album. It was just a technically three song EP. But when we were trying to brainstorm ideas, I really wanted to go through the journey of heartbreak, kind of like the stages of grief. I wanted to go through the stages of heartbreak. And some of the topics that I had was self-interrogation, which became a song, guilt, shame, whatever the aspects are. I think you could search for it on Google. We basically had all of those down, and 100 Miles Per Hour was the song for moving on. So I told him, I said, I want to make a song about moving on. And he was like, what about 100 miles per hour? And at the time I was like, I don't get it. What does that mean? Like, why 100 miles per hour? And then again, like as time went on, it made more sense. It's like, you know, you just got to do it, you know, like, don't think about it. Lose control, like all those lyrics, it made sense. It resonated, you know, cause I didn't get it back then, but it means it has so many meanings now.
Well, that's the thing too, is I feel like each person finds their own meaning within the song as well. So, you know, you have your personal meaning for you. You have the meanings that you intended to put out there for other people. And then I guess like any work of art, everybody has their own interpretation of it. So it's been very interesting to see that song kind of evolve as well, at least since I've, kind of entered the picture as a viewer and fan of you and the song. So with that in mind, how does it make you feel knowing that, your song that you wrote or co-wrote, produced, sang, it's out there in the world being listened to and impacting people in different ways. And even now, it's over the last several months, it's being covered by other streamers out there as well.
That last part right there is just, that's really cool. Seeing other streamers cover a song and putting their perspective on something that I saw, come to life from beginning to end. And it's still taking life even after, what I thought was it had a good run. It's good. And then it just keeps getting revived. And it's such a cool feeling to be acknowledged in that way, where you see other talented streamers put their take. It's really, it's an honor, honestly. And I feel very, I don't know, like accomplished with having streamers cover the song. I think it's great. It's what it's what I do. I cover other artists' songs. So to be an artist that other artists cover is
well, it has to be even a sense of validation in a sense.
Yes. It's like it goes full circle, and I love it.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that. So Jayne, we talked about you singing a song during this interview, and after everything we've just talked about, I think 100 miles per hour is the perfect choice for that. And, this is the perfect time. So I'm going to give you the stage. And so whenever you're ready and however you want to set up there, the floor is yours.
Yay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Up until now, you played it safe, ending in the same place. Wouldn't take a risk, didn't feel it was worth it, so nothing ever changed. But you gotta stop holding on, so you can start moving on, oh. You gotta stop holding on. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, I'm letting go. I'm losing control. I would never know what I could do, going 100 miles an hour. Set myself free and trust in me. I would never know where I could be, going 100 miles an hour, 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 going 100 miles an hour. You have your doubts and your pride, but
Jayne, thank you so much. That was amazing. As always, I loved it. 100 miles per hour, like we said, that's your signature song. And yeah, just thank you for taking the time to sing that. I appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me, and thank you for shedding light on the song. I really appreciate it.
No, I love it. Thank you. Now, Jayne, someone once asked you in your stream how you are so good at singing. And I remember this in particular. Your response was simply that you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
And can you expand on that and talk about how you've grown vocally, like from I guess a technical standpoint of singing, how you've grown over the years?
It's so funny when I look back at some of my old performances. I'm just like, man, I really wasn't as good as I thought I was. Honestly.
Yeah.
But I guess for me, like learning to just kind of trust in the emotion and singing from the heart, I feel like is my biggest growth. Technically, I have tried different lessons or different kinds of teachings that, like just, I guess, like standard singing lessons. I've tried SLS, which is speech level singing. And when it comes down to it, it's really just mostly learning to sing from the heart and understanding what I'm singing about so that I can tell that story.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that really comes across for you. And then there's particular singers out there where when you hear them, and I'm saying this also when I listen to you, it comes across like this person's been through some life. And it comes across in the vocals and the music and in the words. So I'm glad that that's something that you've learned as part of your expression of who you are as a singer. That's amazing. So given that, what advice would you give someone who clearly has talent but is just kind of starting to discover their voice, kind of like what you were saying of what a singer you used to be a long time ago?
I think that the best advice is to always remember your why. Why do you do this? Why do you sing? Why do you like to sing? And aside from that, if someone wants to get better, the best way to do that is to, record yourself and hear it back so that you know what you sound like and what you would want to improve, whether that's your tone, your the notes that you're hitting. If you're not hitting them exactly where you want it to be, it's repetition. You gotta keep doing it until you hit it and then know how you got there. Because after that, it's really just muscle memory and practice. That's really, until now, it's like there are times where I'm not always on point, but for the most part, the more that you practice and the more that your body kind of knows how to get to where it wants to go, then, you can really focus on putting in the emotion and then once you kind of get that down, it's like, sometimes even if you don't necessarily hit the note, it might even kind of add to the emotion of whatever it is that you're trying to do or sing.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, Jayne, a little bit of a left turn, but kind of along the same topic. So there's this singing competition out there that some people may have heard of. It's called American Idol. Yes. And you were actually a contestant on American Idol. So what was that experience like, being part of that process and meeting those people? And then what type of impact did it have on you as a singer as well?
Funny enough, I didn't really want to do American Idol. I was kind of coerced by my friends. At the time, I was, a teenager, and any excuse to get out the house and hang out all night, we took it. And so, my friends, they knew that I sang, and they were like, why don't we try out? Because at the time, they were allowing people to actually sleep over at the stadium.
Right.
So the San Francisco auditions were at the Cow Palace, and we got our tickets, and we didn't stay in the stadium. Me and my two friends, we basically just ran around San Francisco all day, all night, you know, and ended up camping out for shoes, because I'm also a huge sneakerhead. And that night, these Nikes were being released, and we ended up just camping out for shoes, and went back to the Cow Palace with no sleep. It was insane. And, you know, we just did it for fun. And I don't know if it's because my two friends weren't real singers that they kind of highlighted me, if that maybe helped. I don't know.
Right.
But it's a long, arduous process before you even get to the actual televised portion of it. Yeah, you go through quite a bit to even get to that point. But you know, it was great. I feel like maybe because I went into it with no expectations, it was literally just a reason to go out. It ended up being a really cool experience, because a lot of people will go through the process, go through the judges and everything, have the cameras on you, and then not even get aired. So I was very lucky to have been aired, that my experience was aired. And there was actually a lot more that went on behind the scenes that didn't get to air. So I have a whole new perspective on reality TV after that experience.
Yeah, now, from what I remember in watching it's, you know, people can find it on YouTube, is the judges didn't necessarily agree on giving you a golden ticket. So can you, like, what was it like for you standing there while that was taking place?
Honestly, I was so nervous that I didn't really know what the heck was going on. I was like, what are they fighting about? I don't get it. You know, and I was just honored to have any yes, you know? But I feel like the song may not have fit at the time, just because I look like this punk rocker girl, and here I am singing some Anita Baker. It definitely didn't make sense back then. I mean, this was quite a long time ago. But I feel like now, you know, it would have made more sense, I guess. But yeah, I was just happy to make it through, to be honest.
Oh, that's amazing. So yeah, I would imagine it was just a total whirlwind, the whole experience. So I totally get that.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, yeah.
And as far as other life experiences, another thing that you've shared, you know, with your community during your streams, and just something that you talk about, is human trafficking, which, as you know, is also a very important topic for me. So, you know, the fight against it is something that's, I think, that there's never enough awareness of. And I know it's something that you have personal experience with. And what's interesting to me is what you went through, and what I recall of you sharing isn't really what people would normally think of when the topic of human trafficking comes up. Do you mind talking about your experience with that?
Absolutely. For me, I, at the time, didn't even know that I was being trafficked. And I think that's kind of the part that why I feel like it should have more awareness, because some people may not even know that they're being put into a situation like what I went through.
Right.
Yeah, like you said, most people, when you think of human trafficking, you think mostly like, you know, sexual, I don't even know what to call it, but, you know, like that kind of field, but that's not, you know, what happened. For me, basically, I was it was me and my mom, because I was a minor at the time. And so we were under the impression that we were signing up for an international girl group that was supposed to be like the next Spice Girls. And I was obsessed with the Spice Girls at that age. And I, you know, was super excited, and so was my mom. And it seemed like a legit, you know, recording contract. It seemed like that it was promising, because we were training with some of the most top tier teachers in the Philippines. That's where I tried out. And we trained for like 3 months straight, 6 days a week. And our first stop on this tour was in Thailand. And when we got there, it was just like this, you know, bar in Pattaya Beach. And you know, when you think of tour, you think, okay, you'll sing at one city and then go to the next city and go to the next city. But we were there for several months.
Oh,
and
wow.
we're like, wait, what are we doing here? You know, why are we just stuck here? And at the time, I didn't really care. I was like, cool, I'm performing, you know, this is great. But thanks to my mom, like she realized that this wasn't what we had initially signed up for. And because we had already signed a contract, you know, they wouldn't let us leave. Management wouldn't let us leave. And that right there is, you know, human trafficking.
Yeah.
We were there on a tourist visa. We weren't even there on a working visa, which, you know, the management is supposed to take care of that.
Yeah.
And so, you know, here we were doing something other than what was promised. And yeah, it was a really scary experience, because had I not been there with my mom, had she not had the balls to make us escape, you know, like in the middle of the night, because we were watched pretty much 24/7, then who knows what would have happened, how long that would have lasted. I mean, it was a 5-year contract, so you can only imagine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So luckily, again, like we fought it. And I was jaded for a long time about the music industry, because I was, you know, kind of ashamed that I felt like it was my fault that I had big dreams, and here we were trying to chase it. And that was kind of the fruits of our labor, you know.
Right.
It was not really the greatest experience. And so I just always had one foot in and one foot out the door when it came to music. It really wasn't until Twitch that I felt like I rekindled that passion for music and really giving it my all. So
yeah, I would imagine that entire experience like completely changed who you are, how you view music, how you view the world. So like, but did you even realize, like you had mentioned, you were kind of caught up in it as it was, but even after the fact, once you're able to get out of it, like how long did it take, or are you even still to this day, like processing that whole experience?
I think I have gotten to a point now where I am more, I guess, just consciously aware. And I try not to let that experience taint future opportunities. Just because that's happened to me in the past, it doesn't mean that every opportunity is going to be like that. And I had to really compartmentalize that, you know, situation from whatever opportunities come up now. But admittedly, up until, you know, my whole, I guess, mindfulness journey and just learning to set my own boundaries, I was definitely jaded and kind of traumatized with that situation, and not really applying myself as much as I should.
Right. Oh, that makes total sense. And I like that you include your, you know, the journey of mindfulness at that point, because I think that's where you really start to learn and kind of figure it out moving forward. And, you know, you'd mentioned your mom being a big part of that experience as well. She probably, you know, maybe even, you know, saved your life or saved you from having a completely different life, you know, at the least. So that's amazing that she was able to be there for you during that journey. All right, Jayne, thank you for going into that. I know that's a big part of your life and what you've been through. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk about that a little bit. And I don't have the best transition away from that, but my next question for you is, who are some streamers that have influenced your own approach to how you do your streams?
Oh man, there's so many. I mean, Oh my goodness. You know, in the beginning of my whole Twitch journey, I was a fiend for other music streams. Honestly, like the first few that I remember watching, Anna Carmela, Calvin Thomas, Tyler Levs, who else? Lala Laura, Dana, what is it? The Basat Squad, like all of those guys. Yeah, so many. I mean, I can go on and on, but you know, it actually got to a point where I had to stop watching other streams because, you know, I got to this point where I was comparing myself and feeling like, oh, I don't do that. What if I do that? And I just felt like I don't want to take away from other people's stream. You know, there's some where I'll ask them, you know, for tips and tricks.
Right.
But for the most part, yeah, I had to really, I had to kind of stop, and I'm guilty of that, but I do want to get back into, you know, just supporting streamers and without that kind of lens of like comparing the two.
Right. No, I totally get that. It's an easy thing to do. And I'm totally with you there. It's so easy to get caught up in watching one and then another one. And next thing you know, you've spent the whole day watching streamers because it's just such it's an engaging experience. So I'm definitely, I know what you mean. I'll leave it at that. So now I guess on the other side of that type of question, who inspires you that's not a singer or a streamer?
Oh, wow. That's a good one. That's not a streamer or a singer. Well, I think it goes without saying my mom is a huge influence for me. Yep. She's one of the first people that, or, you know, one of the few people that I know that followed her dream, you know, and did something unconventional. And my mom's a hairstylist, and she has all my life has just made her own schedule and just kind of always made things work. And I've always admired that about her. And she's really pushed me to kind of progress in my own music career. And I'm just very thankful for her and all the lessons that she's taught me.
Oh, that's amazing. I don't think you could ask for a better person to be an inspiration or a role model. So that's a great answer. So Jayne, you've been streaming on Twitch for 2 years now. So take a look back at that journey and everything you've experienced along the way. So what is the first thing that comes to mind that gives you a feeling of gratitude?
The first thing that comes to mind that gives me a feeling of gratitude, the viewers. It always comes down to the viewers, the OGs that have been there forever. Belle being one of them. She's even got we got matching tattoos.
That's right. Yep.
She's one of my longest, if not the longest, subbed person. And then Mikey Boy, of course, who's been day zero since YouTube. You know, until now, my goodness, 2 years later, still going to every stream. Yep. The mods, you know, you being one of them, of course. I can't do this without the mods, keeping chat alive and taking care of all of the commands and streamer song list. You know, I got an AV crew for all the clips and just capturing all the fun moments that I can't do on my own. Just so much to be thankful for. The generosity of all of the, you know, donos, gift subs, bits. Queen Elisa is a huge part of the stream too, and you know, super grateful for her and just everyone that's, you know, contributed their time. We have a raid song from Paradox. I mean, the list goes on. I don't want to, you know, discount or forget anybody, but it's just, it takes a village to do this. And that just goes to show, you know, with everyone playing their part, in the community and the stream.
I love that. Thank you very much. Now, Jayne, I'm grateful to know you and to call you a friend. And I always like to take a moment to acknowledge people that are my guests on the interview. So, I want to acknowledge you for just who you are. You're an amazing singer, and I think more importantly, you're just a truly special human being. You take a stand for what you believe in, and you make sure people feel welcome, not just those OG referees, but that person that comes into the stream for the very first time. Like you just make sure that they're comfortable and are welcome in the stream. And just existing in this world right now can often be a challenge. As we've talked about, you've faced many challenges in your life, yet you just keep moving forward. So it's one of the things that I love about you, and just everything else. So Jayne, thank you for being you, and just thank you for having this conversation with me today.
Thank you for having me. This was great. And I loved having this time to just, be present with you and having this conversation. So great questions, and it was a great time. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you so much. Now, this is Jayne Rio. My name is Marc, and this is TheTwoOhSix Twitching It Up interview series. To find Jayne online, links are now on the screen and in the description below, or just search Jayne Rio on Twitch, YouTube, and social media platforms. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and also check out 206.com, the official home of all content from the 206. Thank you so much. Be safe, and see you next time.
Now you have to sing Under the Sea. Under the sea. Under the sea. Take it from me. I'm Canadian bad. Wait, what?